I am joined online today by Dutch MEP Thies Ruijten from the Socialists and Democrats, the second largest group in European Parliament, to find out more about the debate this week. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to join me on Inside Albania.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Now, I understand out of yesterday's debate, there were some calls to lift some of the measures against Kosovo and potentially enforce some on Serbia following the incident on the 24th of September. I wanted to get a feeling from you. What was the mood in Parliament yesterday? Was there any opposition to these sort of suggestions? Was there any hesitance?
Well, no, I can say that the vast majority of the Parliament was very, very critical on the approach of the European Union so far, because despite months and months of widespread criticism from the European Parliament, the EU so far only managed to put sanctions on Kosovo instead of going after the aggressor, the root cause of the destabilization and the provocations that we have seen now for so long.
So there was nobody really saying, oh, you know, maybe we need to take a more balanced approach, or maybe Serbia, we need to wait more for facts or anything like that. It was quite definite that things need to be tougher.
Well, there might have been one or two MEPs that struck that tone, but the general mood among all the major political groups was that we now need to leave this course of appeasement of President Vucic, because it's not working. Mm-hmm. It's only emboldening him in his efforts to keep the situation unstable and to keep on provoking time and time again, using his pattern of escalation then to de-escalate. We need to get rid of that.
Yes. Was there any mention regarding the work of the mediators in the process, so Miroslav Lajčák and Joseph Borrell?
Well, the problem is that as long as the process is now where it is, namely on hold, we cannot do a lot. And also the mediators are a little bit in jeopardy in that respect. Yes, of course, I agree that at some point we need to get around the table, but it has to be a conversation in good faith. And if there has been an attack that quite probably has been receiving support from within Serbia, an attack on a police officer died. There were a massive amount of weapons in Kosovo, smuggled into Kosovo, probably to do even more of this type of destabilizing actions. Then we cannot just go around the table business as usual. That is why the European Union has to come with measures, has to ask for a full investigation into what happened. And to be fair, the fact that the possible suspect of the perpetrator of the attack has been released the day after his arrest is not a good sign at all. And I also want to hear the European Union about that. I want to hear a point of view from the European Union when it comes to these kind of events.
Now, what happens next in the parliamentary process? Correct me if I'm wrong, there will be a resolution in a couple of weeks. And is there anything we can expect from the EU institution side between yesterday's debate and the upcoming resolution?
I think that the European Parliament will come up with a very tough resolution, a resolution also setting out several wishes that we want the European Union institutions, namely the member states and the Commission, to follow up on. And it's good that we have a little bit more time. The resolution will be voted in 2 weeks from now, so we have a little bit of time to prepare that. And for me, and I think for many others in the European Parliament, and certainly my group, everything that happened not only in the past week, but also in all the months after the Ohrid agreement, because we have seen a long list of provocations, the attack on KFOR soldiers, the abduction of police officers in Kosovo. We need to create a situation where eventually people can sit around the table again to work on normalization. But we cannot do, after all these provocations, business as usual. The European Union has to leave the disastrous politics of appeasement.
Now, moving on to something else slightly, Russia has openly supported Serbia following the terrorist attack. Is this, along with a growing influence of Russia in Serbia and closeness between the two countries, and subsequent destabilization in the Balkans, is this of concern? Was this brought up during yesterday's debate?
Yes, as it has been brought up in the past year, I would say 1.5 years, because it is still a big problem that Serbia is not supporting the sanctions against Russia because of the war of aggression. It is a big problem that security officers, ministers of the cabinet of President Vucic still travel to Moscow. It is still a problem that President Vucic, the day after the events in the north of Kosovo, has a meeting with the Russian ambassador simply to provoke us, to show to the European Union that he does not take it serious, and that has to change. I want to say also, and I want to emphasize that has to change in the interest of the Serbian people, because it is in the interest of the Serbian people and also the Serbians in North Kosovo that he is holding hostage, in my opinion, that he will change course, and that the European Union and the international partners will be strict and tough on him.
My last question, I know you don't have much time. You mentioned the word appeasement, and it's something I agree with, but why do you think, in a nutshell, the European Union and Commission is or has been appeasing Serbia in their approach towards the situation?
Well, my honest answer is that I don't know. Because if I look at what happened, and I will limit myself to the last half year, then I see that everything we've tried, every time that Mr. Vucic, for example, returned from Brussels to Belgrade and was proud that he didn't sign anything and that he didn't commit to anything, a couple of days later, Commissioner Várhelyi shows up with 600 million euros. I do simply not understand the logic behind that. And I think it does not work, because if it would have worked, we would have seen a different situation now. But it is clear that with autocrats who are only interested in one thing, appeasement is not the way to go.
Dias, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your voice in European Parliament on this matter as well.